Alright guys, Rich here from the RCNetwork, and this is going to be my full review of the Axial Yeti XL KIT version. Now if you didn't know, the XL comes in two different versions. First, the RTR debuted a little while ago with just, lots of surprise on how XL it really is. Now, of course, Axial calls this a 1/8 scale, but this is definitely closer to a 1/6 scale vehicle. So with that, the kit version emerged, comes with some very, very nice and needed upgrades in the kit version. We'll go over that in a little bit here. But in my review, I'm going to show you guys, kind of what I've seen after running about 5 sets of packs through this thing, and what I think is definitely good, what I think is not so good, and we'll kind of go from there. So as you see here, the only two things that I added to the kit version that doesn't come stock is I did add these Xtreme Racing carbon fiber panels. Hopefully you guys have already seen the video on that. These things are so nice because they just literally bolt up, you add some decals, you're all said and done. No painting of the body. One other thing I did that was slightly custom was I painted the actual cage. Now it's already starting to show some wear because it is, paint on plastic. So keep that in mind if you choose to do that. I did it only because I didn't want everything to look kind of black. I wanted the contrast of the carbon fiber to the silver so you can really see the carbon fiber. So that's kind of my thing. I like the way it turned out. There you go. So other than that, this is a pretty much stock XL kit version. I did add my own electronics, which everyone else has to do. I added some pretty damn good ones from Decals and also High Tech. I think I've pretty much powered it very, very nicely. Now on to some of the negatives. We'll end on all of the positives. Really the only negative I've seen so far is there's just lots of steering slop, and I get why Axial allowed that. There's a lot of flexibility up in the front steering section here. And what it's designed to do is this thing's heavy. I mean, this thing is a huge beast of an RC. And if you have a lot of rigid components up front, you're going to end up breaking things and snapping things and bending things and all sorts of things. So I get why it is a little flimsy. It really handles well. There's a little bit of slop, so you have to kind of adjust for that. But all in all, I mean, if you pick up the side here, and you see really how much movement there is. I need to kind of go through and retighten some things, but there is quite a bit of flex and movability up on the front clip of this vehicle. Now, onto the suspension. Awesome suspension. So I've got to say that the suspension really made up for a little bit of the slop on the front end. So as far as other negatives, the only other thing that I've seen, and I'm going to remove the cage here in just a little bit, we'll kind of pause the video, but I did end up breaking the actual front body mount off of the front shock tower. So I did go with a little custom mod here with these Proline secure lock body mounts. It worked in my application because these carbon fiber panels are a little bit thicker, and I couldn't actually get the body pin into it. So I think with the rigidness of that, I actually broke the entire body mount off. So more custom fabrication is going to be going on there to get that thing all up and running. I'm going to go ahead and remove the cage. We'll kind of get into some other stuff. All right, so I went ahead and got the cage removed. If you didn't know, it takes about 4 screws to actually remove the rear section of the cage. Normally, you'd be able to remove the front 2 body clips, and this thing hinges all the way up. However, if you do want to remove the whole cage, you do have to unbolt the rear of it. So really quick close-up here of the panels. Really, really like these things. They've really, stood the beating that I kind of gave it. Got a couple little nicks and scratches here and whatnot, but that's expected. And but all in all, really great body panels here from Xtreme Racing. Really, really like the added effect of the carbon fiber. Well, that's enough of the cage. Let's get into this chassis here. Now, of course, the Decals electronics went in awesome. They're pretty much tried and proven. I am running the 4038 size, the Truggy size T8 motor, 2000 kV. When I initially installed it, and I was actually talking to another YouTube producer out there, he had the same problem. it actually, when I mounted it in here, it was in the reverse setting. The only way to fix that was not to just go into your radio and reverse the direction of the motor. You actually have to go into Hotwire, or you can program the ESC. But I had to go in and actually say that the motor was mounted in reverse. So basically, the problem was when you pulled the trigger, you had a slow speed going forward and a very fast speed going in reverse. So that was the only way I could fix that. Otherwise, electronics were great. I'm running stock gearing right now, and this motor was doing fairly well after a few good beatings on this thing. So I think the motor was right around 160. So a little bit hot. I may tune it a little bit to see where it is. I am running a series connector right here to split off to the 2 max amps. Batteries, they worked out great as well. They fit into the case with lots of extra room. The Hitech 9380 Servo, plenty of torque. And like I said about the slop on the front, it actually has more torque than you need. So you can probably get away with a little bit less torque of a servo. This thing cranks out about 472 ounce-inches. Now, really, the only 2 negatives I had about this buggy was just the slop on the front and breaking off the front body mount so far. Everything else was great. I really have to say that Axial did a great job of not only the scale looks, that's just a given now. Everything else is great. The Falcon Wild Peak tires, great traction. I wish there was some closed cell foam inserts in this. It does not include that in the kit. You just get the open cell one. So once you glue these things up, they're pretty good out of the box. But I do wish that they had some closed cell inserts in there, like some crawler innovation. So onto the shocks, great shocks. Probably one of the best designed shocks that I've built on a kit version in a long time. It's nice working on a large scale shock just because the pieces are a lot bigger and everything worked out great. The 2-stage springs also was very nice added feature. The rear sway bar, although a great addition, I felt that it needed a little bit more stiffness. When you really got into things, you can still really kind of torque twist some stuff, and that was the other topic of conversation of a lot of people that had questions for me was, is there still torque twist? And by far, there still is. So on pavement, and you have to consider that that is a high traction surface, I was still getting about a good 2 inches of upward travel of the passenger or the right side front tire. So keep that in mind. At full throttle, I could really basically flip this thing. So there's lots of traction. There's a great distribution of power, but you still get some torque twist up on the front passenger side. From what I've seen, it's a little bit less than the RTR, so I think the rear sway bar definitely helps. But maybe a stiffer one might be a little bit better. Although I did really like the articulation, if you've seen my running video, kind of crawling up the hill and kind of manipulating all of the peaks and valleys of that hill I was climbing. So I'll have the running video and also the build series down in the video description for you guys to take a look at. Otherwise, everything worked out great. On the underside here, the chassis did get a fair amount of wear here. You can kind of see up here on the front aluminum plate. I was running really low on this thing. I like to keep it low because, less rollover potential and lower center of gravity. So I did kick up a little bit there, and kind of as I said in a previous video, I was kind of worried about these little boxes right here, and sure enough, this one right here got a little bit of wear going on it. So maybe in the future I may need to adjust the ride height a little bit, but all in all, the underside has taken a pretty good beating. As far as the upgrades that's included in the kit version, really appreciate the CVJs. They bolted on great. They have run great. There's been no issues with them coming loose at all. Just a great addition. The turnbuckles, once again, stiffened up the front a little bit, although there's still some slop, so I'll have to address some of that stuff. The rear plate mounts back here on the rear trailing arms, another great addition. I think it definitely helps. The shocks were just, that was the winner right there. So those things definitely did well. That's it, guys. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little review here of the Axial Yeti XL. I have had a blast driving this thing. I've had lots of people kind of checking it out and you know, seeing just how large this thing is. That is the most shocking portion of this vehicle, is just the size of it. So XL is definitely a good name that Axial gave this thing. Well, guys, if you have any questions, I do have a full build thread over at rccrawler.com. You can also check out my Facebook page. I have lots of detailed photos there. But my next step with this is going to be upgrades. I have a whole drawer of upgrades for this XL, and I can't wait to get some of these things installed. So till then, check out my RC Crawler thread. I'll have that down in the video description. You can kind of keep maybe a couple steps ahead of YouTube and see exactly what I'm doing. Also, Facebook, I post lots of stuff on there on all the different vehicles here at the RC Network. Till then, guys, any comments or questions on down below, and as always, thumbs up and subscribe. That's it for now, guys. Over and out.